Pradnya ma'am?
हाँ सोनू.
Ma'am, should I start or I wait for more than 3 minutes?
Yes सोनू. Ye- नहीं start.
No, because students are joining. Okay, I'll start.
Start. I think they will join. No.
Okay. Good afternoon, girls. Myself, Sonu Mishra. I am assistant professor in the MSc department of Dr. BMN College of Home Science. I welcome you all for the next Pride session. I'll just share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is. You can put it on slideshow.
Okay. Good afternoon, girls. Again, on behalf of UGC Stride Center for Research Capacity Building, I welcome you all for the ninth session under the theme Promoting Research Ethos in Higher Education. Today, our topic is effective report writing, and the speaker for the day is Huda Sayyed. To introduce Huda, ma'am, she is an enthusiastic educator and a voracious reader who inspires to change through education. Huda has completed her B.Ed from St. Xavier's Institute of Education and has worked at our own English High School, Dubai. She has completed her Masters in English Literature from SNDT University. Her interest in environmental concerns and innate love for trees encouraged her to work in the theoretical field of eco-criticism in her dissertation works as a master's student. She has also interned at Dr. BMN College of Home Science, Matunga with the Gandhian Studies Center. She has been a speech and drama trainer for All for Kids for 2 years, finds teaching meditative and recreational. Presently, Huda ma'am is teaching English at Dr. BMN College of Home Science. I welcome you, Huda, for the session. Please take it over. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonu. Good afternoon to the Stride team. Good afternoon, Pradnya ma'am. And good afternoon to all the students present here today. So, today we are going to take up a very relevant but a simple topic that is going to help you all in your in generally, when you are dealing with events that you participate in college, or when you are generally writing a report about a course that you attended. Okay, so when we talk about report writing, I'm aware that you've done report writing in school and in your junior college. There has been different ways in which you've been taught report writing. Okay, so I'm not going to go into this aspect of teaching you the very very basics of report writing, because I know that the foundational ideas about report writing. So I'm just going to take a few seconds to put my slide up. I hope you can see it.
Yes, it is.
All right. Okay. So before we begin, I have for you a slide. I want you to read the quote, but more than the quote, I want you all to look at all the kind of thinking caps that is on this slide. I want you all to pick one that you like the best and put it on your head virtually, so that you are able to respond to whatever we are trying to understand in this particular class. Right? So I hope you've been able to choose the one that you like. So moving on, we are going to first begin by talking about report writing. But since you've done all kinds of writing, you've done essay writing, you've done story writing, you've probably even done persuasive writing, right? And then you also did note making, and in that category you did report writing. So when you look at all the kinds of writing that you've done, what do you think report writing is not? So I want you to now probably turn on your audios and tell me what you think report writing is not, uh, when you compare it to other kinds of writing. Or you can, if you feel you want to just type it in the comment box, you can do that. But let's just go through this very swiftly. It's I'm just generally asking you, what do you think report writing is not? When you think about its format, when you think about its content, when you think about the message that report writing can give you, what do you think it's not? Okay, it's not letter writing, so you know it has a different category. Report writing is not about the present. Very good, Zainab. So then what? Okay, so then we've already established, Ishwari, that report writing has a set category for itself. And then we also know that it's not about a present situation, it's about something that has happened in the past. What else? Okay, it's not like article writing. Okay, so I'm just going to add that as unlike other forms of writing. Very good, Angelia. You're saying it's not about something fictional. Okay, so not fictional. Very good. Report writing includes date, place, and timing. So, Niyati, can I say that report writing uh, has a particular kind of format? So, I'd say it has a format. Real incident, very good. It's not about one-sided opinion. Excellent. So that means if I say it's not about your opinions, then what is it about? What would okay? Namira has also said with no assumptions. So no one-sided opinions and no assumptions. So okay, I'm just going to add that. I'm just going to put both those statements together. No assumptions or one-sided opinions. Okay, what else? Anything else? Very good. So if it's not about assumptions and opinions, then it's about facts. Thank you, Dhara. Niyati has also said based on true facts. Very good. So then we do have a certain idea of what report writing is not. So moving on, then if I try to kind of make it precise to understand what then report writing is, and what are some of the things that you need to remember when you're looking at a report. Okay. So then, report writing is something that is not in the present. Uh, okay, now I can't see your chat box. So if you have to say something, just turn on your audio and tell me. Or if Sonu or Janvi could help me out with. So now we know that report writing is not about an event that is happening in the present. Okay, and it's unlike other forms of writing. It has nothing to do with fictional ideas. Okay, and it has a format, and you can't include assumptions or one-sided opinions. So that means that this particular kind of writing has to do with facts, right? So moving on, so this is what I feel report writing is. Okay, first of all, like we've already seen, that report concentrates on facts. So these are very factual. Okay, and when we talk about format, so we said there is a date, time mentioned in your report, then you know that it has something to do with a discussion of an event or a reporting of an event, which has to be short, sharp, and concise. It has to have a purpose. So you can't be right. You can write about anything happening around you. It could be about a personal experience. It could be about a certain story that you want to write. But all of those kind of writing have a purpose. So in a similar way, report writing also has a purpose, and its purpose is to report. Okay? And what do we have to report? Something like we've already said, something that has already happened in the past. So an event that has taken place. For instance, an event that takes you generally participate or attend at events in your college. Now we're doing it virtually, but when you were in college, you attended these events. So all these events had a purpose. And when you write a report about those events, you have to kind of report what the purpose of that event was, right? And then reports are also used to relay observations to a specific audience. For instance, after attending an event, so for instance, you had an event about suicide prevention. Okay. So then probably Shreya ma'am would expect from you to write a report about your experience at that event, how helpful it was for you, what were the changes that you saw, or in the kind of mindset that you had about the idea of suicide, or why people commit suicide. And then in the end, the overall, was the purpose of the event accomplished? All of that goes into your report. Generally, where do we see reports? Why are reports useful? Writing for your college magazine, or even your newspaper. Your newspapers are all filled with reports, different kinds of reports. A report about a certain accident, a report about something, a disaster, so for instance. And then we also have reports in journals. Depending on the kind of journals that you are writing for. If it's an academic journal, probably if you're writing about a certain research that you carried out, and the journal wants to include your experience at that research, so you probably write a report about your experience. What was the aim of the research? What did you accomplish? What were some of the things that you could not? What were some of the limitations of the research, for instance? And then the final uh, part of the report would be, what are some of the things that you want to do differently when you do a research, or what are some of the conclusions that you got from that research, for instance. But if you're writing a report for, say, for instance, for your college magazine, where they are expecting you to write about if you've been a member of the Gandhi Study Centers, for instance, you've been a member for 1 year, there are certain events that you've attended, field trips that you've gone to, okay, probably even organized an event for the Gandhi Study Center. So in the probably an annual report, they'd like you to include what were your experiences, or what was the experience of your group, the entire group. So you're representative of a group to present a report. However, this is the kind of understanding we have of the report, and there is definitely a format. But depending on what kind of report you're writing, so for instance, if you're working somewhere and you're expected to write a report, your institution may give you a template of writing a report. So then the way you write it would change. But generally, the fundamental format of a report would not change. So moving on, now in order to understand what a report should look like, I'm not going to like just tell you the bifurcations of what it should look like, but we're going to look at some of the one example of a real life report that I wrote. Okay, and you have to tell me, you have to give me your feedback as to how you like it, what do you think are the good aspects of it, and the not so good aspects. But when you're looking, so we're going to look at two reports. A report that probably I'll give you two reports. You see if you like it or not. So, for instance, when you look at the report, these are some of the things that I want you all to look at. Okay, I hope all of you all are now paying attention, because now is the time to put on your thinking caps, and some of the things that you have to look. This is an experience for you, because this is how teachers look at your report. I'm giving you the opportunity to look at my report and tell me how you like it. When you look at it, these are some of the things that I want you to notice, some of the features of that report. Okay, look at the language. If I have used the right language, you think there are some changes in the choice of words that I've used, you'd like to make. Then, have I used all the grammar right in the whole format? Okay, and then generally, how does the whole flow look like? Does it read okay? And then the last one is preciseness and accuracy. So what I mean by that is that, so a report has to have like a word limit. It cannot just go on endlessly like a story. Even story writings have a word limit. So I want you all to see how accurate my report has been. And you know why I think you can judge that is because you've attended this particular session that I have written a report about. Okay, so I hope you remember. Um, Initially, I think it was our second session, the second stride session. We had Dr. More, who had given us a lecture on a certain topic. Do you remember the topic? How many of you remember? Does anybody remember? No? Okay. So, one second. Okay. So, I hope you can see a Word document. Can you?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So, what I have done is I have numbered each line in this document for you to be able to read it well. I mean, with you will know where you are at because we're doing this on a virtual platform. So I want you to read this document very carefully, and I'm going to just scroll it so that you can see it overall. Now, take your time to read this, and please have a pencil or pen in your hand with a book, and just write down if you notice any error at a certain line, any number. Uh, the bullet points will help you to tell which line has a certain error. So if you find any errors in a certain line, just tell me. I hope you started reading. Janvi, what do you suggest? Should we ask a student to read this document, or is it okay if they read it by themselves?
I think they are doing fine.
All right.
Yes, teacher.
There are a few comments coming in the chat box, Huda. If you want, I can read them out. Huda, you are on mute.
Thanks, Janvi. So, Angelia. And the others, if you find there's a specific error, I want you to note down the line on which the error is. Okay, because we are going to mark it right now. So I hope that you've been able to read the entire document. So let's just look at it from the beginning. Okay, now I can't see your comments, so I would like probably Jani, if you could read the comments.
Sure. First one. Okay, there are some comments that the report is not written in past tense, grammatical errors. I'll go to the ones which has a line reference for the.
Right.
All right. So Marin has pointed out that line number 9 and 20, the paragraph start with small letter and the format has. So that's one thing.
Okay. So basically, this has to be capital. Very good.
And another comment from Marin is that paragraph lines 20 to 29, the format has changed.
Very good. So the format in the sense that probably the font style has changed.
Yes.
Okay.
Niyati has said that in line number 3, place where the session was conducted.
Very good. Now, when we talk about the place, we could be specific or we could just add the name of the city. So basically in a report, generally you have the city's name and then you mention the exact venue in the first paragraph. So coming to that, when you look at the first paragraph, what do you think are some of, Jani, if there are references about the first paragraph or anything, just let me know. Or otherwise, students can just turn on their audios and tell me what do you think, what is missing from the first paragraph, or do you think it's complete by itself? Do you think it's complete? Everything is there? Whatever you need to know when you read the first paragraph, is it all there?
Ma'am, the time and the place is not given.
Very good. So we don't know the time, we don't know the venue. So where the session was conducted, how was it where was it conducted, when was it conducted is not specified. What else is not specified?
Ma'am, it's not talking about the audience. Who
Very
exactly?
good. So we don't know who the members were, who the attendees were in that particular event. And we also know you were part of this event, so you know this was a virtual event, it was an online session. Nowhere in the paragraph is there a mention that it's an online forum. And you also know that this particular series of lectures were organized by the UGC Stride team, right, for a certain purpose. So it does mention promoting research ethos in higher education, but it does not mention the, the name of the organizers, Stride itself. And if you look at the heading, what do you think about the heading of this particular report?
It is incomplete.
It's incomplete. It's not eye-catching, or it does not really precisely tell you what the report is about. Now, it could, if I say report on Stride, it could be it's not specific, right, Dhara? So then I don't know which, there were a series of lectures. Which lecture am I talking about? So instead of that, what do you think would have been the title of this report? What do you think should be the title? Some suggestions? Yes, it has to have a title. Yeah, or like Namira said, it could have a header. So what do you think should be the header for an event? And you've attended that lecture. What would you call it?
In search of research.
Very good. So probably it should have been the title of the speech that, or probably the topic that was going to be covered. So I'll just make it as in search of research. But it was one of the lectures in the series. So do you think we should also mention the name of the lecture series or not? Or is it okay by itself?
We have to, ma'am.
We should, right? So if we could make it as, this is a potential title. You can have another title, but remember that it has to kind of tell you exactly or specifically what this report is going to be about. So promoting research ethics in higher education in search of research. Now, you must have seen in a newspaper report, there is always a byline which tells you who the reporter was, right? So in a report like this, you can include probably who is reporting. If it was like a summarized report of all the sessions that were conducted, you can write the person who reported it, which is not mentioned in this particular report. Then moving on, we were talking about the first paragraph. We said that it doesn't mention a lot of information that could be there. So basically, when you write the first paragraph, which is generally like your introduction to any kind of writing, you will have an introduction. So in a report writing, the introduction should include what is the event that you're dealing with, who was the speaker, who was the organizer, when was it conducted, or where was it conducted. And if you read the last line of this first stanza, paragraph, you will see the host of the event gave introduction to the speaker of the day. How do you like that? Is that fine?
Gave an introduction.
It should be, yeah, it's the host of the event gave an introduction, okay, to the grammatical error. What else? Do you want to know the name of the host? Oh yes, Ishwari has already mentioned that. The name of the host. Who was hosting? You know there are several Stride members who host a certain event. So then who was hosting? We don't know the name of the host.
Pradnya, ma'am.
Pradnya ma'am was hosting. Thank you. So you remember. But here in this report, there is no mention. Okay? Then what else? Let's go to the second paragraph. So I'm just going to look at your comments now and then see if you've mentioned anything about the second paragraph. If you haven't, quickly do that.
There are some comments for line number 11, 13. Girls, you can unmute and share.
Yeah, you can do that. That will be much easier. Now that you've noted it down, you can now say it. Sorry. So 11. Dr. More was able to. Students were able to. Why? What is the problem with the current verb that I have used? What is wrong? I'm making it was, but you tell me why it should be was.
Okay, they've said it's in the past tense.
Very good. So then I don't think you have any confusion when it comes to the question of what tense should I use. Generally, when I give an assignment, say for instance, write a letter or write a probably a diary entry, I generally get the question of, ma'am, what tense should I use? So then you know that in the report writing, you know that the tense you have to use is past tense. Okay, is there anything else, Janvi, from the second paragraph that is mentioned?
I'm just going through the responses. Past tense, 11, 13. That's it that they've mentioned so far.
Okay, what about this? With this, the speaker was defining the limitlessness of curiosity. Is there a problem with line number 14 or any other aspect of second paragraph? Anybody? Past tense. Okay. So that is, so I'm just going to now assume that there are some mistakes or there is a problem in reading this particular paragraph because of the tense that is fluctuating from present and past. But generally, I want to use past tense. So wherever you find errors, so here, for instance, with this, the speaker was defining the limits. Or the we could generally say, with this, the speaker defined the limitlessness. Right? What else? Let's look at the third paragraph. Do you see any problem with the third paragraph?
There are
Read.
some for line number 23 and 24.
20.
There is numeral 4 written. Is what
Right.
point
Right.
out. And Namira has also said line number 24 uses DAT, that.
Very good.
25, Marina said spelling of that is wrong. 25, spelling of D.
This.
I believe that's what you referred to, Marin.
Motivation for the same. The is written as D.
Okay, motivations for D now.
Okay.
When Niyati has shared line numbers 24, 25, and 28, use of lingo.
Sorry?
24 and 25 as well as line number 28. Niyati has said there is use of lingo.
Yeah.
This is referring to, yes.
Right. Anything else? There is one that you missed. I'm just hinting.
Line
There
number 1, a couple of students have pointed out. Consideration was discussed. There is something wrong about that. Line number 21.
Oh, yes. So this is present tense. So it should be
Has shown line
integral topics such as how to define a research problem and determining the scope of the research through appropriate consideration was discussed. Very good. Anything else?
line number 24, their own it should be. Someone has suggested. Saloni has suggested.
25. Their own. Yeah.
Right. 25.
There's only one that you're missing. Come on. Look
line
closely.
number 21, where the students are also enlightened, should be were also.
Very
Were
good. So
enlightened.
tense. Again tense. There's just one. Come on, girls.
Line number 30, the first word should be capital, first letter of the should be capital.
Right? But that's the next paragraph. What about the previous paragraph, this paragraph? Is there anything in this paragraph that we've missed?
DIS. Someone has said that's already pointed out, Rutuja.
Okay, yes.
Okay, line 28, helped.
28.
This helped.
Right.
Saloni, what about 29? Don't put a question. Share what you think. 27.
Like hands-on.
Hands-on experience. That's
Experience means
hands-on experience means practical experience. His own practical experience. Something that he's dealt with in real life. Okay, I'll give you a hint, okay? Just giving you a hint. There is something to do with apostrophe, the use of apostrophe or not using apostrophe. Very good, Sneha.
Ma'am, the students.
Can you elaborate what's wrong, Sneha?
Ma'am, there should be no apostrophe between the S.
Why?
Because it's conducting the whole students in overall.
Yes, so we're talking about plural. Right? We generally put apostrophe S when we want to show possession. Right? But here we don't mean possession. We need to actually mean the plural of student here. So very good, girls. As you must have noticed, and in this paragraph, like some of you have already successfully, very easily have been able to tell me what are some of the errors in this paragraph. It has something to do with the lingo, and it has something to do with the kind of textual language that you're using. Text language as in what you use in your WhatsApp or probably other social media socializing. You generally use a very short term when it comes to writing a certain language. Even Hindi or in English, we see that you use it efficiently on that platform. But the problem is that the language used on that platform gets transferred to the kind of just give me a second. It gets transferred to the official kind of writing that we're expecting from you. So generally, we do receive write-ups from you, and we find these small errors that kind of which could actually work for you to kind of write the notes, but it will not work when you're submitting it as an assignment. So that is part of grammatical or language-based errors. Anything else? We're going to move on to the last bit of this write-up. Is there anything else that you notice? Now, I'm not just talking about grammar. Now, you have to look beyond grammar and word errors. I want you to now talk about the flow. How does this entire report read to you? What are some of its limitations? What do you not like about this report? Is there anything?
No comments yet. Share with you. Okay, Angelia says that 30 feels incomplete.
Okay, number 30 feels incomplete. As certain familiarity is a good starting point, which could then be discussed with the teacher or an academic mentor, etc., with a similar knowledge on the subject matter. Okay.
Niyati has shared link between lines. What about that, Niyati?
Elaborate a little bit. Yes. Punctuation, yes. But when you say link between lines, you're talking about the language or how the whole script reads to you. How does it sound? So I I want a general feedback now as to how, if you had to appreciate, or if you had to give an analysis of how this report reads, what would you say? Is it good? If it's good,
It's
what?
not in,
Yes,
it's not detailed.
it's not detailed. There is no flow. Very good, Merin. So, so probably if a certain para was, situated in a certain format, it may have sounded better, but it's not in that way. Okay, just give me a minute and just read the last few lines of this script. How do you like the last 3 lines of this script, of this report? Is there any problem? I'm just asking you to look at line 37, 38, 39, the concluding paragraphs, you could say. Okay, what aspects could be better or helpful or not discussed? Sounds negative, okay. 38, meeting, what about it? It's not professional, maybe, like it can be put in a better way. I think it's kind of informal, right? What makes you feel that it's informal? The presentation started and concluded on time, giving room for feedback, suggestions, and appreciation, which was received by him positively. Why have I used him? What could I have used instead? The meet concluded with a vote of thanks given to the speaker and us for an informative session by the host. So I've made these two pronouns. I've changed the color of the text for these two pronouns. Why do you think? We could have mentioned his name, or we could have said the speaker rather than saying him. And if this was a student who wrote this report, the student could have written that, for the last line, she could have written the meet concluded with a vote of thanks given to the speaker and the students for an informative session by the host. Okay, when you say something positive, what could have been there in the last few lines? What do you think should have been there? So I'm going to, so I hope you understand that I have created this report only for you to analyze some of the mistakes that we make while writing a report. The original report which I wrote for this particular session is, I'm just going to share it with you.
Ma'am, we can add the take-home messages to make it more positive.
Okay, like what? What would you have said about Dr. More's session? So this is, I hope you can see the Word document now. So this is the report I originally wrote for that event. Okay, and you will find that when you look at it only, you'll see that the format is much changed in a way that I have, say, when you're submitting a type report, you need to pay attention to the format. Okay, you know how to choose the format, right? Like for instance, it's very general. If you were to just use this, it could seem like this. Or if you could use this option, it'll all get formatted and come in a straight line. That is very important for the presentation of your report to your teachers. And then when you read this particular document, you will notice that there is it's obviously there's no grammatical errors to it, but there is a definite link between sentences and thoughts that I have written down. Okay. I know we are running out of time, so in order to explain this, so I don't think we'll be able to read the right document. Has Nasreen asked something, Pratya ma'am? So going back, I'll just give you a minute to just go through this document because I don't want you to keep the wrong example in your mind but the right one. So just go through. Yeah.
Huda, I just would like to share here that yesterday Nasreen had emailed me her file of the seminar. So then I was explaining her the format. Okay, so that I have just reminded her, like whether have you understood now.
Alright.
Okay, thank you.
So girls, just take a minute and just go through this particular document. Tell me if this sounds better than the previous one, and if you think there is room for me to change it or get better at it, or if you think that it's better than the previous one. It's definitely better, but I wanted to look for some of the better aspects that has changed from the previous one to the new document that I've uploaded. Do tell me if you see an error in this one as well. Format in terms of keeping the paragraphs in line. Also, what font you're using, keeping it uniform. The font size should be uniform. All of that should be kept in mind when you're typing a report. Yes, if you're using, yes, thank you, ma'am. So, for instance, this is a report on one event. So, for instance, if we tell you to write a report on all the lectures that you attended under promoting research ethics, how would you write that? Obviously, you will have to use some bullet points to kind of explain the number of lectures you have. So, you can have bullet points, but make sure that they're all formatted properly. And you're able to just skim through it. You're not going to read it word by word, just skim through it. So, like we've observed in the two files that we saw, these are some of the points that you need to remember when you're writing a report. Some of the things that you should remember when you're talking about the writing style, you need to know that you're supposed to be absolutely clear, and the report that you write should be easy to read. That means you don't have to include big words, okay, just because it'll make the report look efficient. It's not about using big words, it's about using the right kind of words, easy words that are easy for everyone to read. It should be crisp and precise. That means if you are talking about a certain event, don't beat around the bush and talk about other things. Okay, in preparation to talk about the event that you need to talk about. So just be to the point and write about the event. There has to be a sequence. So how did the program begin? And what was some of how was the flow of the whole speech? That also has to be summarized in a very precise way. And there could be aspects, in the speech, there could be aspects about a fun moment that the speaker is sharing with you. Okay, it need not be a part of your report, but you can add through adjectives how that kind of lightheartedness made the whole speech so appealing to you. So that could be a part of your report. So rather than including the joke probably the speaker used to make you feel at ease, you rather say that how the speech was lighthearted. Then make sure that you're not using any kind of slang and no texting language in your report. Avoid sometimes when you're talking, we generally use words like, like, a lot, right? We do that a lot in our sentences. Make sure that you're not doing that while you're writing your report. Bullet points, make use of bullet points when needed, but make sure it's formatted properly. In terms of grammar, now you know that you're supposed to use past tense, and then you're supposed to also use third person. So you're not going to say I, me, and then indirect speech. That means if there is some, for instance, there is obviously you heard the whole speech and it was indirect speech, right? But when you write it down, it has to be indirect speech. So it could not be said like, for instance, Dr. More said that this is said that I attended college in that year, but you would have to say it as Dr. More mentioned that he was part of the university in that particular year. Then make sure that you're using passive voice. Their subject verb agreement, like we saw, is, are, and it should be in the past, was, were, for plural and singular. So the whole sentence need to have a subject verb agreement. We've also seen punctuation errors, how punctuation errors really affect the kind of writing that you have submitted. So make sure that you're using the appropriate full stop, comma, colon, semicolon whenever necessary. And the choice of adjectives. You know that you can't put your opinions in the report, but you have to use adjectives to describe probably the style of the speech. You also have to describe probably how the overall outcome of that particular event was. You'll have to use appropriate adjectives. And finally, you need to remember to proofread your entire document before sharing it with your peers or your professors. Lastly, these are some of the things that I'd like you all to practice even when you're speaking and even when you're writing. So these are some linking words that you can use when you write. So these words have different purpose. For instance, for emphasis, for addition, for contrast, and for order. These are some words that you can use in your script. Rather than making your script a sequence of things that happen in that particular event, you could use these words to join your sentences. What will happen is when you use these words, there will be a flow to your entire script. Okay? Like for instance, if there was a certain sequence, so there was firstly something was discussed, secondly something was discussed, thirdly something was discussed. If you were to only list it out, okay, so this happened, that happened, and then this happened. And then what would happen is that when I read your script, I will only find that it is a very mundane script, a very mundane report. But if you were to organize it with the use of these words, say firstly, additionally, consequently, then it will make your report look more engaging to the person who reads it. So can you tell me when you read the previous report that I shared with you, the report that I said was which was free of errors. Did you notice any word which were linking words? Did you notice? Should I put it up again? We have a minute, so we can do that. Did you notice any linking words in the script? One second. Yeah. Do you see any linking word, or is there any conjunction that is used which helps you in linking one word to one sentence to the other? The latter, in the latter part, yes. Anything else?
Dwelling.
Okay, but dwelling is being used as a verb here. I'm talking about linking words. I also want you to notice how each paragraph starts differently. It doesn't begin with with the or this or that. It begins with a certain kind of word. Like for instance, in the second paragraph, you'll see, as the title suggests, the session involved. And then in the second paragraph, you'll say, in the latter part. So here, linking words help you to make the beginning of each paragraph look appealing. Or it joins the first paragraph to the second paragraph to show a certain flow to the report. Any other word that you notice? Further, very good. Okay. Okay. What we're going to do is you've seen some of the linking words on the slide. What we'll do is we'll look at some examples. I have some sentences. See how you'd use the linking words in a particular sentence. Look for instance this particular sentence. The three. Let's look at the. I'm so sorry about this. Okay, let's look at the first one. I can't see your comment, so please help me out. The first one is, it is dash that drug abuse is a widespread phenomenon. Which word would you, these are sentences in which you can use reported words, words that are used in reported speech. So which word do you think would fit the first sentence?
Ma'am, we can't see the PPT.
Oh, you can't? I'm sorry. What about now?
It's coming up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seen now.
So you'd say choose the correct word suggested on the right to complete the sentence. So these are series of sentences where you need to use reported words. Okay. So the first one is, it is dash that drug abuse is a widespread phenomena. Which one would you use? Stated, claimed, or suggested?
Stated.
Okay. Very good.
Stated.
It is stated that drug abuse is a widespread phenomenon. So if you were probably writing a report about this topic on drug abuse, if you had drug abuse awareness campaign probably in your college and you were having an awareness program, you'd use these words to write a report. What about the second one? It is dash that drug users are serious threat to society as they are the cause of mass crimes in society.
Claimed.
Sorry?
Defined.
Define. It is
Claimed.
defined, claimed. Okay. Okay, I'll tell you why, which one fits or why doesn't. Okay. So if I say it is defined that drug users are serious threat to society as they are the cause of mass communication crimes in society, then if you use define, what is going to happen is you're being definite about a certain sentence that is spoken. Okay. But if we say that there was a research carried out and if it was found that drug users are prone to or affect the society in this way, then you'd use the word claim. Because only that research claims, right, that drug users are a threat to society. So then here, claim would be the right choice. What about the third one? This report dashed the causes and effects of drug menace along with suggestions.
Address.
This report addresses the causes or it could also use outlines or this report outlines the causes and effects of drug menace. But did you notice that in the third line, in the third sentence, the words that are used are in present tense. They are not in past tense like the first two sentences. Why? Can we use it? Is it still right if they are in present tense? Yeah, we're talking about the report, but elaborate a little bit more, Marin. I told you to use past tense all the time, right? Then why do I tell you to use the present tense in this particular sentence? It's not about the incident, then what is it about? Yes, because we're telling what we have found. Okay. Anybody else? Because here in this last sentence, we are actually highlighting what is the aim of that report. So what am I going to accomplish in this particular report? That is the reason why it's in present tense and it's not about the event. Like somebody already mentioned that it's not about the event, it's about the aim of the report. Okay, at this point, does anybody have any questions about report writing? Is there anything you've not understood? Because I have come to the end of my presentation and I'd like to understand if there's anything or any query or clarification that you need about what we've discussed today. regarding, so we've discussed what report writing is not, we've discussed what report writing is, okay, and then we've also discussed some of the ways in which you can write effective reports. What are some of the errors that we make when we're writing a report, and what are the features of report? So if someone had to ask you, say for instance, if Janvi ma'am had to ask you in class, what are some of the features of a report? What would you say if we had to say there are 5 features of a report? What would you say are the 5 features of a report? Number 1 would be it's factual, it's concise, very good.
Past tense.
The use, so you would say I'm supposed to use proper grammar and tense, and the tense that I need to use is past tense. And Angelia said it's purposeful. Very good. That's a feature. It has a purpose to accomplish. So that makes 4. Oh yes, and there is a definite format to a report. If a template is not given to you, generally you will write a report like the way we just saw, right? With a heading, date, place, the name, the byline, who wrote the report, and then we go with introduction, body, and conclusion. The concluding para can never be negative. It can include constructive feedback, but it cannot be negative. It has to have positive feedback and constructive feedback, how the event could have been better. All right. So good job, everybody. I really enjoyed having this discussion with you.
Oh, we have
Depending on the word limit, Angelia, for instance, if it's about one event, then it has to be around, if your teacher doesn't tell you what the word limit should be, a general report should at least be of 500 words minimum.
Any other questions, girls? I think it was a very interactive session. They have asked you a lot during the session itself, Huda. Thank you so much. On behalf of the side team, I thank you from bottom of my heart for taking this session. Thank you, Huda. I will pass it to Janvi. Janvi, you need to talk something to students.
No, it was very interactive and very engaging. Thank you, Huda, because I don't think at any point students were not engaged. So
Very
excellent interaction, and I hope students will make the most of this, because you will have a lot of times when you have to report something or the other. Even your own research report is a report, and if you cannot report it well, you would have lost out on a big deal.
correct.
So very well conducted, Huda. Thank you. It was very interesting for me personally, and I believe for all other staff members as well.
Thank you, Janvi, Pradya ma'am, and
Thank you, Huda.
especially to Pradya ma'am, because for this opportunity actually to interact with the students that I've been watching for all these days now.
Huda,
Thanks, Huda.
students,
Well conducted.
when we take this seminar thing, we are, breaking our heads, explaining them that how you are supposed to write and all. But I think today you made it so easy for them to understand, and they have really learned. And I hope the next reports that are coming to us now will be, perfectly fine and all with your guidance. It was really nice, Huda.
Thank you, Shilpa ma'am.
Thank you. Pradya ma'am, we can end the session, or you need to inform students something? Pradya ma'am, can you hear me?
I think she has lost